All right, welcome. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you guys so much for being here for another fantastic episode of the Gloria Bailey Ray Show. We have some awesome guests tonight, and I'm just going to say to any of you may have family members, friends, people that you know that have struggled with maybe an addiction. My guests tonight are going to enlighten us and tell us their story, but they're also going to talk about things that you maybe can do and you need to be aware of. All right. So, before we get started, though, again, I want to welcome everyone here. I want to say to all of you who are both international and national, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate you and your support. As you may know, the Gloria Bailey Ray Show is an interactive show. And what does that mean? That means that if you got questions for my guest or comments, you place them in the comment section and we'll do our very best to respond to them. The Gloria Bailey Ray Show is about providing you, the viewer, with relevant, fact based, mainstream information to help you be informed and to make informed decisions. We stream live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and stay tuned because we got some other platforms that we're going to start streaming on. So I can't wait for all of this to happen. Again, if you guys haven't gotten the book, you didn't get the memo written by yours truly, you can go on to my website and purchase the book. Go to gloriabaileyray.com. Get the book, y'all. I mean, help yourself, help somebody else. But listen, let's jump into it. Again, I want to welcome you guys all here. And to me, this is a very special edition of the Gloria Bailey Ray Show. And there's a number of reasons for that. But we're going to delve deep into the heart gut wrenching topics about alcohol, drug abuse, and the profound effect it has on families. Me, as your host, Gloria Bailey Ray, look, I am sitting here at the tip of my seat because I have met this wonderful gentleman and his wife. And I'm just honored that they would be willing to come and to share with my viewers their story, right? We're just going to confront the stark reality that we know that is happening around the country that affects millions of lives across the globe. And here's the thing, it's impossible for you to ignore the sobering statistics that surround the issue of addiction within our own society. And if you think about it, the World Health Organization, let me get these statistics right. Alcohol and drug abuse says that it claims the lives of over 3 million people. Think about 3 million people annually. That's every year, which makes it a global epidemic, which is why we want to talk to my guests, Alan and Randy, about the resources that's available out there. And so, beyond just the numbers, this is a human story, right? It's a story that talks about lives that have been shattered, tears that have been shed, and behind every statistic, there is a family that's struggling to cope with this disease that has just impacted their family, impacted their lives in so many ways. So I'd like to welcome my awesome guests to the show, Randy and Alan Derfeld. Hi, welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us, Gloria. This is such an honor to be on your show. I knew from the moment that we met that, there was something special about you and what you're doing for our community. It's really a pleasure to be on here. And my wife was so excited once I told her that, hey, we're going to be on a TV show. She was overly excited. So my lovely wife, Randy, here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you heard me just kind of open with what I think is just, a gut wrenching your story. Probably every family that has dealt with some form of addiction or someone that they love, it tugs at your heart. And sometimes people just want to just kick them to the curb. We don't want to deal with it. It's I just see it as everybody just kind of ending up in this black hole and feeling like they can never get out, which is what I enjoyed just hearing a little bit of your story. And I just thought, you know what, we've got to talk about this. You guys are aware that fentanyl, there's no question, you know, the one of the deadliest drugs that's out there on the street. We're looking at the homelessness, we're looking at the mental health piece. And so it's huge, it's big. So for me, I wanted to just, first of all, I always like the level set. And the level set is just asking you and Randy, you know, what's your backstory? You know, talk about where you grew up, basically what your life was growing up. Look, and I'm saying in 2 minutes or less, because we got a lot of things to get to. But let's just start out and talk about how this, you know, this came to be. Tell us a little bit about who you guys are.
Yeah. So for myself, you know, addiction for me began at a very young age, and addiction has been a big part of my family. So I just didn't decide to wake up one day, walk out the door, and decide I'm going to be an addict today, or I'm going to be an alcoholic. Like, it started in my early childhood, and it's things that I witnessed growing up. It was the influences that I had growing up. You know, I come from a semi-broken family. My mother was an alcoholic and drug addict. Her drug of choice was prescription medication and alcohol. She was a binge drinker, and so that was what a lot of my childhood, what I witnessed, you know. And my dad was never an alcoholic or drug addict. He was kind of the glue or staple to our family, and he was the one that kind of kept us together. So when they finally divorced, you know, my dad became a single dad and took on two boys. I was in middle school. My little brother was in late elementary when my parents got divorced. And so um, my mother actually lost her life to an addiction. And I started to follow in her footsteps. I started drinking. And as a result of the divorce and kind of the chaos going on, I decided to pick up as well. And so it started with alcohol and started with, you know, stealing cigarettes and beers. And next thing you know, it snowballed into a methamphetamine addiction. And I spent about 6 or 7 years of my life. It ruined my military career. I was in the Army for a couple of years. Addiction ruined that, ruined relationships, ruined a marriage, caused me to walk away from my son. And you know, it wasn't until I got, you know, you hear the cliche, you know, you get to the rock bottom, and that's when you're ready to change. For me, rock bottom came a couple of different times, and being away from my son, it was kind of the catalyst to that. And I decided to make a change in my life, and I was willing to give everything up. And I came into the program, the ministry that I currently work for, went through the ministry, went through the program, and now I'm going on 7 years of sobriety, and it seems like this is working in my life. So I hope I landed that plane 2 minutes or less. I want to give my wife also a chance to share.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely. And thank you
yeah.
so much for saying that, because the National Institute on Drug Abuse estimates that 1 out of 8 children in the United States live in a household with at least one parent who has a substance abuse use disorder. So thank you for sharing that. And we're going to kick it over to Randy. Come on, Randy, come on in. And, you know, tell us a little bit about who you are, because you are also the intake coordinator there at Teen Challenge. So tell us a little bit about who Mrs. Randy Durfeld is.
Yes, hi. So yeah, I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, and I was kind of predisposed to addiction. It kind of runs in my family. My mom and dad were, you know, in recovery for drugs and alcohol, but they were both raised in horribly alcoholic homes. And then my grandpa and my grandma on my dad's side both lost their life to alcohol. So, yeah, my grandma on my mom's side died from alcohol. Her organs were shutting down from that too. So, yeah, I was kind of predisposed to that. I really didn't, you know, kind of sign over to addiction until my family fell apart. When I was in high school, I had already kind of had some eating disorders and self-harm happening by then. I experienced some abuse at home and some hurt in life that I didn't know how to cope with. So when my family fell apart, I just, you know, I didn't know what else to do to kind of cope with the pain. So I turned to boys and alcohol. And then within a couple months, I became a homeless a homeless prostitute looking for drugs and alcohol. And then 8 years of that, I as Alan said, I kind of scraped rock bottom for a long, long time. And I had lost a son that I had during my heroin addiction. I lost everything, and I lost my car, and I lost everything. And I scraped rock bottom. But what the big rock bottom was for me was going to jail. And when I went to jail, I just realized that I didn't know if I was, a drug addict, or if I had, mental health concerns from drugs. Maybe those were there before and the drugs brought them out. But I had a real fear of just losing my mind and losing my credibility, my dignity. Just as a woman, I just wanted that back, and I wanted a life. I didn't know if it was possible, but I really wanted that. For me, that was really scary. I just wanted a life like I saw my sister have, and other people in my family that kind of got it and would be able to function and was experiencing some success and didn't have such problems with addiction. I just wanted that. I saw other people have it, and I saw maybe that would be possible for me. And the program that we work at now, that became an opportunity that my judge had and my probation officer put on the table as an opportunity for me. So that's how I ended up in California. But the rock bottom for me was probably jail. So thank God that opportunity turned into a lifelong career in my current marriage.
Right. You know what, Randy, can I just say, first of all, I not only applaud you, but thank you for, you reached down and you found and you realized that you were worth something. And I do this show because I want people to know that there is so much more to life. And I honor you for being open to share that. I sit as a commissioner on the Safety and Security Oversight Commission with the Department of Violence Protection. And, of course, as you know, human trafficking is so huge. And there are so many. I just pray that there's at least one young woman that's listening to your story and decided that, you know what, I'm better than this. I deserve better than this. And I know every day just working through and going through, but your determination and your resilience means so much. And I just thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I wasn't expecting that. Let me regroup.
Sorry.
So you both kind of delve into the next question that I was going to ask in terms of how did you even get into using drugs? Randy, you were in a household and you said you started at a very young age. I'm sorry, Alan. And then Randy, for you, and this is so critical where adults need to understand, young girls and the self-esteem piece, right? And we need to continue to lift our community up that has these challenges. So I guess the second part of the question would be, Alan, for you, and then for Randy, what was your drug of choice? Was it alcohol? Was it, did it start with marijuana?
Yeah, so for me, it began with alcohol and so it was alcohol, and then I was also smoking weed as well. Began with those two, and then it progressed. My friends were starting to do ecstasy and coke, and then that turned into methamphetamine, and all those highs are very similar highs, except for meth is like the most extreme that one you can go. So for me, definitely when I started doing meth, that's when my life actually like really went downhill. And then it was just full blown methamphetamine. I honestly stopped doing, pretty much for the most part, stopped doing the other drugs, and my life became surrounded with meth. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, probably my drug of choice was heroin. It's probably just a kind of a slow suicide because that was just the strongest high I could find at the time, and it was the closest thing to being totally numb and kind of it's just kind of a slow suicide. Like I just don't even know how to deal with my feelings or have nothing to live for. It's just like the epitome of hopelessness, that you feel because it makes you lethargic and tired and really just kind of helps you kind of manifest physically what you feel inside, which is just worthless. I don't even know how to explain it, but it makes you feel very useless. And that's what heroin did for me. It was the most extreme I could find at the time.
Mhm. And just a quick question, Randy, do you think if you had someone to talk to or knew where to go, that that may have made a bigger difference for you? Or do you think it just kind of took you going full circle, hitting rock bottom and going, before you got to this point?
Yeah, yeah. I do think that I would have ran for refuge if I knew, because I look back on my addiction. Just it lasted a couple years. It was about 8 years I ran, but there was times where the light bulb would turn on, and I would kind of mentally come out of a psychosis, and I would feel I don't know how to explain it, but I would feel like me again, and I would know that I have a soft heart and I love people and I love animals and I want to, I would remember how I was when I was little before life happened, and
Right, right.
these little moments of clarity, and I'd be like, what am I doing? This is not me. And I
Mhm.
remember looking for people, just different, maybe church people, or I remember I went to the crisis pregnancy center one time, and I would just spill the beans, man. I would just like level out, just tell them everything, and they did not know what to do with me. I mean, it felt like they were like I would feel more, it would be insult to injury because I was sitting here trying to tell them, like, I don't know what to do because it was all encompassing need I needed. I needed counseling, I needed meds, I needed housing, I needed support and parents, and, just looking for that acceptance and a practical solution, because a lot of the professionals can give you advice, but they don't really know where to plug you in to.
Right. Right, right. That's why I appreciate you guys keeping it real. So thank you for that. And so when we come back, Alan, we're going to delve into, uh, you know, the treatment facility, because I don't know if you tried one or two before you found the one that you're at and working, and then kind of talk about, what you do as a director now at this particular facility. So we're just going to take a really quick break. You guys don't go anywhere. But we'll be right back. And I see comments in the section. But you guys hang tight. And thank you again so much, for being here and for sharing your story. Hang tight. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's scary that it can be put into anything, and we can't even see it or notice it.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
All right. I want to thank you guys for hanging in here. If you're just joining us, I have with me my guests today, Randy and Alan Durfelt, and they have been talking about their story from drug addiction to recovery. And you guys all know it's in the news all the time about drug addiction and how it's just impacting every community. It doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter, you know, what job or position or title that you may have. It affects everyone. And I always like to say, drug is no respecter of person, place, or a thing. That is reality. So I want to encourage you. I see some of you are just getting in. Please go back and watch the very beginning so that you can hear both Alan and Randy's, you know, their backstory, how they got to where they were before they got to recovery. Before we went to break, Alan, I said, you know, let's talk about treatment facilities, just, you know, in general, first and foremost, because, you know, how do you determine that it's a good place? I don't know if you or Randy went to a couple of different treatment facilities or what, but let's start with talking about that, because I think our viewers need to understand if they're deciding that they're going to go into a treatment facility, there are certain things that they probably should know. And I know that you being a director of you know, a men's center, that you can talk about that. But let's just start with, how do you even determine, how did you guys determine, okay, which treatment facility do I go to?
Yeah, so off top, it's trial and error, 100%. For myself, I went through a couple of different. There was an outreach program I went to. I've tried NAAA, Celebrate Recovery, and those are all great programs. But for what I needed was, I needed something more long term. And honestly, like, if you think about a lot of people who are in addiction, a lot of time, most of the time, they've been in addiction for many, many years of their life. And unfortunately, I could speak for myself, like a 30-day or 60-day or 90-day program wasn't nearly enough time for me to get through an addiction. You know, spending 6, 7, 8 years being addicted to drugs, all the damage that I've caused and created in my own life. I needed much more. I needed much more time to heal from those. It's a healing process. And so I needed a year-long program. And I think the more long-term programs for people who stay incomplete, now it is tough to spend 1 year of your life, you know, in a program, but the reward, there's just so much upside to that. You know, at the very least, if you don't get anything out of the program, but you stay and you complete the program, at the very least, you can have at least a year of sobriety. And a year of sobriety in an addict or an alcoholic's life is huge. I mean, it's like winning the Super Bowl, having a year of sobriety. Like, I remember crossing that year mark, and I was just so proud of myself. And if an addict can get to a year, like, I don't know the exact statistic, but the chances of them having long-term recovery go up increasingly.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you should be very proud. And I would think, I did not look up what the relapse rates were, but if someone were able to stay clean and sober for 12 months, 12 straight months, I guess my thing would be, what would be the impetus for them to even want to go back into that life, right? Because, you know, they're getting, first of all, they're getting treatment, they're getting the mental health piece, they are someplace where they are, you know, clean, warm, or cool, depending on the climate. They are also able to shower and, you know, really feel like a human being. And I would think that that is something that everybody, you know, they say warm shower and a hot meal, that would make the difference. But I agree with you. You and I, when we first met, that's what caught my attention too, is people say we'll put them in a treatment program for 30 days. 30 days doesn't allow you to address the mental piece. It doesn't allow you to address, and see, when I say mental, I'm not talking crazy. I'm just talking about the mental piece of all the stuff that has happened in that person's lifetime. They may have been sexually abused. They've been physically abused. They have, not only probably even parents have prostituted them, out to other people. And so you've got a kid who's got all these things going on and nobody's addressing it. And they're saying, okay, and usually, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that at least the people that I've talked to, they medicate with drugs to just not have to deal with all the stuff that's going on in their head.
Yes.
And so I don't know if in fact that is the case, but Randy, for you said that a judge actually sent you to a treatment facility. Was it this particular one?
Yeah. So my sister was a missionary in Lima, Peru. For some crazy reason, she was really praying for me. And at the time, there was a guy that was a graduate of this program here in Oakland that had got sober from cocaine here, and his whole life changed. And he said, you should send your sister to Teen Challenge there, because a lot of people that are like tough cookies go to Teen Challenge and they can get help. So she had climbed back down the mountain and told my mom about it. And I woke up after an overdose in the hospital to the application for a Teen Challenge. And I asked my judge, I want to go there because my sister's in-laws were based in Fremont. So this was the closest women and children's center. And my family had asked for me to go to a women and children's center because I had lost my son. And they said, they had suggested that program because they thought it'd be good for me to be around other moms and see that maybe I could feel some hope in my heart to get my own child back one day.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So all the work that you guys are doing, I'll start with Alan as the director of the facility, focusing on helping people to overcome their addiction. So talk to the viewers about the Oakland Men's Center, because again, just listening to you, looking at, people who have come through that center, it's just very different. And then just looking at you, the energy that you radiate, your authenticity, it overwhelmed me. And I was just so touched to hear you and hear the other young men that were with you talk about the program, and they were excited. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. So I do hope our viewers will, say, I need to find out, where this Teen Challenge is. So, just tell us, as the director there at the facility, how do you help people focus on overcoming their addiction?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is, we're a faith-based program. And so we definitely believe that freedom from addiction comes through faith, faith in God. A lot of the curriculum is centered around the faith aspect. And so that is one of the bigger pushes of our program. But I mean, honestly, the length of the program is really a positive for the people who come through. And how I tell my guys that come through, it's like, man, you have a year of your life to really focus on yourself. So they're literally taking a break from society. I mean, yes, there are work projects, outreaches we do. So, they're definitely in like society, I guess you could say, but taking a break from their normal life, from real life, and they have an entire year to focus on themselves. And the biggest thing is, like, we teach them here how to do life away from an addiction. Like, we teach them how to get up in the morning, how to make their bed. I mean, we start from the basics, and they learn how to make their bed. They learn how to do chores. They're in a chapel service in the morning. They go to class. They're doing work projects. They're learning a skill. So I truly believe it's empowering our individuals who come through this program, empowering them to just do the basics. Sometimes the people that come through here, they've never had a job in their entire life. There's no work skills. And so when they leave Teen Challenge, at least they can lean, if anything else, they have a work skill that they can lean on, whether it's painting or moving or landscaping. There's all these different things that we do that we teach our students. And there's also the clinical counseling side. We have We have counselors who come in weekly. Our guys are getting one-on-one time. We have group sessions. In fact, just today at 4:00, they have their group session where they meet as a group, and they're able to talk about issues, and they're able to hear from other people, from people in their cohort, where they're able to hear what they're going through and just kind of do the journey together. For me, it's a real positive that I went through the program and went through this, because I'm able to be relatable to the people that I serve. And I think that's the biggest thing, is a relationship as well too. You really, if you're not relating to people, if you're not having a relationship with people, it's really hard to walk people through an addiction process. It's really, or recovery process rather. You have to be relational. And so I think with all of that, the way the program is broken down, every aspect of the program, all of that combined really is what helps the students. We call them students, our clients, we call them students. We help our students succeed. So, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So, and this may sound naive, but when in that program, do you educate them about the potential consequences and risk as it relates to continuing to use drugs?
Absolutely. Yes. We have a lot of, quite a few of relapse prevention classes that they take. And honestly, there's a lot of real life situations that happen. I mean, guys come and go in this program. They have real life examples. The other day, I can't break confidentiality, but I can tell you about this situation. We had a guy leave in the middle of the night, wound up back into addiction, came back to our program and was out of his mind on fentanyl, ended up not staying. And then within a 2-day period, wound up back in jail for robbery. Just a very sad thing. So they get both the class side of it, the counseling side of the prevention, and then also they actually have the real life situations. I mean, you said at the beginning of the show that fentanyl is the biggest killer of any addiction right now. I just saw something the other day that there's in the city of San Francisco, they're losing about 3 people a day to fentanyl. Overdose. That's crazy. So you can imagine, we probably have anywhere from 100 to 120 people that come into our come through our center a year. And so out of those people, lots of them lose their life to addiction. That's just the fact of the matter. So we have a lot of real life examples on top of the counseling and the class side, the education side as well. So
it's interesting for both of you. Randy is doing an intake, so you are, getting people into the program, and you know how you can look at a person and just see so much potential in them. They can't see it in themselves, and then to know that they relapsed. And I just think, looking at the both of you and hearing you said a key word: relational. I've always said, I can't talk to you about being hungry if I've never been hungry. That's real. I can't talk to you about drugs if I've never, had an addiction. And so that's really important. And I think that that's also a really key piece of information that people really need to know and to hear as well. So just hearing you talk about it. But for the both of you, what were the biggest challenges that you guys faced during your recovery? So I'm assuming, Randy, you went through 12 months as well. You went through the entire year of the program. So, would you share with us what were some of you guys' biggest challenges, if you can even think back to what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it was self-image. Probably that was probably the worst battle for me. It's probably always going to be, a struggle. Just my my self-esteem and confidence and stuff like that. That was just the biggest thing that came up. That a lot of the adults that come to the program, they're looking for some encouragement, and I can only explain it like I was looking for the basics. Like everyone else already had the basics and they were coming for a little bit of encouragement. And for me, I felt like I was coming for an impartation of a backbone and confidence and finding maybe gifts and talents I had or anything like that. I felt like I just had nothing in addiction. Like it was just emptiness. And so I was just really looking for identity and stuff like that. And I always felt really behind, on drugs. I wasn't really looking to go back to anything. I still haven't gone back to where I came from or my things that I left behind. I definitely wanted to move forward and totally start from get something out of nothing, So I was really in search of starting over and finding confidence as an adult and finding my own little, even down to like Christmas traditions, like everybody else during Christmas time at the program would say, oh, I have like, this is what my family does on Christmas. And I just didn't have that. It was like an emptiness and loneliness. So that's what's been so awesome about finding recovery is getting all those things for the first time and knowing that it's okay, it's my journey, but other people are kind of at a different place, So that's all. I know I'm kind of rambling, but that was my journey.
And I love that because you know what? You decided that you're going to make and follow your own path. We get so caught up with traditions. We get so caught up with this. I mean, like holidays for me, I just look at people and they lose their mind, right? I got to have gifts. And here's the thing: most of the stuff that you purchase for someone, do they even look at it? I remember for me, why I stopped really, and I take the time to think. So if I spend time buying you a gift, I put a lot of time and effort into it. And I've even had things that were re-gifted. And I just realized that, for a lot of people, that's not important. To me, what's important is the memories of being made, of being with someone that I care about. And so I just say kudos to you, and you're not behind. You're on the path that God has chosen for you. That's the right path. You're doing what you need to do. That's the problem, in my opinion, of the world today. Everyone's trying to be like everybody else. That's why social media is so crazy. Most of the stuff on there is lies, 99.99% of it. But people buy into that. They buy into the image they got, and so you see that and you think, and I know it because I've been there. Oh, wow. I wish I could be that thin. Oh, I wish I could do. And then I'm like, whoa, snap out of that. I'm me. And that's the thing. So again, I applaud you for not getting caught up in that. Make your own memories. Do your own thing. The song say, do what you want to do. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. That's the beauty of it. So, Alan, when we talk about recovery, what kind of support systems do you currently have in place just for yourself?
Yeah, so I have mentors. I think anybody, doesn't matter, advisors. I think it doesn't matter what your position is in life. You look at even the president of the United States, he has advisors, he has people around him, mentors, who are going to keep him on track. For me, I have a couple of advisors, before I make big decisions or anything like that, I check in, and they're guys that I'm accountable to. And they're guys who are at a place in their life where I want to get to, either whether they're financially more set, all of them. One guy in particular, he has more clean time than me. I want to get to that. I want to get to the point where of the clean time that he has, so guys that are more, I would say, more ahead in life than I am. And, I check in with these guys. I'm a part of the church. We have a home church that we go to, and we're accountable to that. And yeah, I would say just staying plugged in and, whether it's a home church, some people need more than that. For a while I stayed plugged in with a Celebrate Recovery group, and like you said, you said about staying on the path that God has for you. Like that's a huge thing in my life. Like I can't get outside of the will of God or like the path that God has me on. Like that for me, that's what kind of keeps me in line as well too. Like keeps me on the road to recovery. So,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. While you were talking, Randy, one of the viewers, uh, said that they're so proud that you're taking control of your life. Um,
thank you, Carolyn.
yeah, and so that's the nice thing I love in terms of this. And she also said, Alan, when you were talking, congratulations. So just the fact that you guys are doing something that's making a difference in your lives, right? And I think that is so critical. It's just key. I just find it a blessing and knowing that what you're doing is a good thing. So here's the question for you, for both of you. What advice would you guys give to someone who's struggling with addiction right now? What would you say to them?
You want to take this one? You're good at this one.
I'll end if you want to begin.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's just, I usually tell them that there's not a better time than now. I really, when I have those types of conversations, and I get a lot of opportunities, obviously, to talk with people who are in current addiction. And, I lay it out there like it's a life or death decision. And there's been too many times that I've seen people come into this program and walk out and walk to the streets, and that night they're gone from fentanyl or, whatever drug related death. And literally I try to display the importance of that being a life or death decision. And you get that with people who also leave the program, not just coming into the program, with people you see on the streets, with people leaving the program. Majority of the time it's because they're tempted by drug addiction. They want to go back it's a lot harder to get clean, and it's a lot harder to stay in recovery than it is to be out there in addiction in a lot of ways. Living a day-to-day life, if you're coming from an addiction background, getting up and living a normal life for a lot of people is extremely hard. And I say that because that was me. But I just try to really express the life or death decision there. Like, the next move on their part is going to be life or death.
Absolutely. So, what about dealing with someone who feels so ashamed of their past addiction or their past struggle? Because, as you said, some people will get into the program, relapse, get back into the program, relapse. And so, uh, you know, and in my heart of hearts, I know this isn't where you place them on a wall of shame. You don't, remind them, man, you've been through this program 10 times, right? So, but what do you say to someone? Because I'm certain, a lot of it, there's a lot of shame. But, I just, think within my own family, people who still have the blinders on, and it's really about being ashamed of who they are, what they've become, and knowing that that's not what they came from.
Right. So the biggest thing is, like I shared earlier about being relational. We all have a story. We all have some type of trauma. We all have some type of hurt, something we've gone through. We've all made terrible decisions, terrible mistakes in many ways. So for me, I always keep a practice of sharing my story, sharing the hard truths, sharing the bad things that I've done,
Right.
with other people, especially people who are just coming into the program, because you're right on that. Like, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt. The biggest thing that we deal with people coming into the program is shame and guilt for the things that they've done to their families. Walking away from their kids, abusing their kids in many ways, abandoning. That's a big thing. And so for me, I always try to stay relational with that. I share my story with every intake. Every person in this program knows my story, knows my background, because that gives me an edge, and that gives me a way in to be able to speak into their life and hopefully speak, because a lot of times when somebody comes into the program, like, it's a scary beginning there, like, and you don't know these people who are coming in, the leaders of the program. A lot of times you put them on a pedestal and you think like, oh, they have these degrees, or they're doctors, or they're so much more advanced. How are they gonna understand anything I'm going through?
Mhm.
And so I just try to get to their level, like, and I just try to get them to trust me. Like, that's the biggest thing, is trust as well. You have to gain their trust. If you can't
Right.
gain their trust, you're not going to get anywhere, and they're most
That's
likely going to leave the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to take another really quick break. And when we come back, let's talk about, how do people get into Teen Challenge or into the Men's Center? How do people, how is it paid for? How the services paid for? Is it ordered by court? Things of that nature, so that we can talk a lot as it relates to, the Teen Center. Is that okay with you guys?
That's perfect.
Okay, all right. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Okay, if you guys are just joining us, I have been having a fantastic conversation with Alan and Randy Durfelt, and we have been talking about addiction and how it has affected and it can affect families, family members. But Randy and Alan, posed the question to Alan to talk about the organization that they both work with and tell us like what the process is for people to get into your program that are really seeking recovery. They say, I'm just rock bottom. I'm at my end. How do I get into this program? So tell us, how do people get into the program? Is there a cost involved? Who pays for it? Things of that nature, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So Randy would probably be the best to answer this. So her job is intake. She would be the one that if anybody's trying to get into the program, they would call her and she would do the screening. So you want to share a little bit about the whole process?
Sure. Yeah. It's usually kind of helpful to have if they're using, obviously we have to have an application. So it's nice to have somebody that's kind of a little bit more that can be a little bit of an advocate for them and help them fill out the paperwork. I usually do that by email, or I mail it to them if they're in jail. We have a lot of prisons and jails that call and just mail it to them. I just need their basic information, and then we ask for things like an ID or birth certificate, just basic things like that, and we can help them get those free if they don't have them. And then there's a one-time processing fee for adults, and we can waive it if they don't have it. It's just suggested. Usually if people we help are burnt their bridges and they don't have anything at all, no resource at all. So we can waive that fee if they don't have it. And then we just give them an intake date. We have a lot of different centers, and so we just try to get them the farthest away from their familiarities. And they can call the main office if they need help. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. And I just want everyone, I've been flashing here, you can go to the website, www.teenchallenge.net. If you guys are located in the heart of East Oakland, right there, guys, if you are watching, I sent messages out to several of you that I know, family members, saying, look, check out Teen Challenge. Go there, ask for Alan, ask for Randy. The help is there. You just got to want it. for sure. So, which leads me into the question that I had for the both of you. Someone walks in and walks up to you, like, I'm out on the streets with you guys. I'm hanging out. And what advice would you give to someone who is struggling with addiction and you know it, and they are considering seeking help? Considering. What does that dialogue look like? What does that conversation look like?
Yeah, so for me, I'm just asking them questions, getting to know them. Again, this is the relational side. Like I can't stress relationship enough with individuals that you're trying to you're trying to help. You're trying to create an environment of trust. So I'm asking them questions, back about their background. Not so much. It's not like a sit down conversation where I'm like trying to grill them, but just kind of nonchalantly talking about their background. Where they came from. I'm sharing my background, but I'm really trying to get them to understand the reward of going through a program like Teen Challenge and what that looks like on the other side. And sharing examples from my own life. I use the tactic of showing them my before picture. I've got a pretty gruesome before picture, before drugs, or before, I call it the BC, before Christ period. I have a very skinny picture of myself, so I'll show that, and then they take a look at me and they're in disbelief. And so, you just try to create an environment where they're wanting to get that reward at the end of the program. So I think that's helpful right there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, from in each of you individually, you've been here. I would like to know from you, what do you guys want people who are watching the show and who will watch the show, what do you want them to take away from our conversation today?
Well, I'm hoping they're inspired. I hope they're encouraged. I hope, if anybody out there that is listening that is struggling with addiction, I'm really hoping that you're hearing this and you're inspired to want more for your life, and you want change and you want freedom. And I truly believe that Teen Challenge has the answer to the freedom. And I say that because I've experienced it myself, and I get to watch it on a daily basis. I'm very privileged to come and work where I work and be able to see the day in, day out changes in people from day one, where they come in and they're kicking fentanyl and out of their mind. And within a month, they're on our choir team, singing on stage, sharing in front of hundreds of people. They're on work projects. They're having their relationships restored with their families. And I guess the one thing that I can say is just give it a try. Just give it a chance.
Yeah. Randy, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I would just like what Alan said. I just want everybody to be inspired, especially if they have a loved one that they've kind of given up on and written off. Because most people that come to Teen Challenge, it's a long program, so it's for the hard nuts to crack, So we try to always say that nobody's too far gone, because I definitely, the pastor that did my intake a long time ago, she had a lot of faith, and when she saw me show up, I was on a lot of meds and I was kicking heroin and I was strung out and culture shocked, and I had the time difference and everything going against me statistically, but it took one or two people that had faith that could see past my brokenness and say, if you just don't give up and you stay, you'll get your miracle, and I would want people to just be inspired that the ones that are so far gone, those are the most amazing testimonies. And we have the girls and especially the men at the program that stay, and they always quit 5 minutes before the miracle. That's what we tell them. But the ones that just don't give up and see past the hopelessness and that the initial situation where they're like, oh my gosh, is this person, they're acting pretty crazy. And then after a couple weeks, you just see so much hope, and then their eyes get light in them and they come alive and they have a personality. And there's this one guy in our program right now, and I just saw him smile for the first time the other day, and I almost cried because I just thought I never saw him smile. And I went to work and I told everybody at work, so and so smiled, and everybody was like so happy because I'm ecstatic that he's so happy, and his family's happy that he's doing so good and he found joy in life again, or maybe for the first time, I don't know. But anyway, I would just want them to be inspired, because it could happen to anybody if they're just ready and willing.
Oh, thank you so much, Randy. You could just tell, just listening to you, I'm getting that warm feeling, because I can only imagine what that looks like. Someone who walks around and then one day you see them and it's like this burden has been lifted off of their shoulders, and they really realize, I can breathe, I can live again. There is more to life. And that is why that's just talking to your husband and hearing his story, and then listening to the other young men. I was just so moved, just standing there talking. And we could have gone on and talked and talked and talked, but I was trying to make my way down 3 blocks of stopping at all of the stations. But I just want to say to the both of you that the work that you do is so important. I always say God doesn't make any mistakes. And I am so personally just happy that I had the opportunity to meet the both of you, and your husband speaks so highly of you. And when he said, oh, to have her, and I was like, awesome. Yeah, I mean, absolutely awesome. So I want to say to the both of you to stay encouraged. Not only encourage each other, but now I said to Alan, hey, look, don't forget about me. This isn't just kind of a one and done, right? But I am here, and I thank you guys so much, for taking the time to come onto the show and to talk to the viewers about your story. And I truly believe that there will be other people who will be inspired by hearing your story, and by saying, you know what, it's time, time's up. It's time that I do something for me. It's not about anybody else. And that's what I basically hear the both of you saying. It wasn't about anybody else. It was about each of you, and how you guys came together, saved yourselves and saved your children, and what you did in putting your family together. So I thank you guys so much for that. I'm going to ask that you guys don't go anywhere. Just stay right there. I'm going to be right back with you. But let me pay the bills, and I'll be right back. So hang tight for me. I want to say to all of you that have been tuned into the show, I hope that you were as inspired and touched as I have been by my guest. It's no easy feat a lot of times to talk about where you've been, but you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys here. I hope that you will not only like, share, follow, but especially share this particular episode and encourage people. You see people, remind them that there is help that's out there for them. They just have to want it. I mean, even just a smidgen. I get the feeling once they walk through the doors there at the Men's Center Teen Challenge, that's the first major step. So I thank you guys for being here. I want to quickly remind you, that I have a training, a workshop coming up called The Power of Observation, and under that is self-confidence. And the dates have had to be changed. The dates are now October 14th and October 21st. You can go to my website, gloriabaileyray.com, to sign up for this workshop. And I tell you, it is packed, chock full, but it's all about helping you build your self-confidence. Again, as a general reminder, I just ask that you guys follow me on all my social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm authentic_coach, and subscribe to my website. I don't spam you, but at least once a quarter you'll get a newsletter and tells you all the things that I have been doing and what I'm doing in the community. I want you guys to know that I appreciate all of you for doing that. Again, I want to thank my guests, Alan and Randy Dürfeld, for being on the show today. It's my hope and my prayer that something was said that will inspire you guys, and that you found the show to be informational, inspirational, and definitely educational. I'm on the Gloria Bailey Ray Show every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, if you missed any of the shows, you can go back to YouTube, Gloria Bailey Ray, and you can watch the replay on YouTube. If you're looking for some inspirational and motivational, just for 30 minutes, hey, join me, Lady G, Real Talk, on Spreaker every Thursday from 6 to 6:30 p.m., 30 minutes, and I will give you that shot of inspiration that you need. So if you are wanting to become a sponsor, please inquire about sponsorship opportunities. And if you're not in the space to become a sponsor, but you just like to support what it is that we do, you can make a donation of any amount by going to GloriaBaileyRay.com to connect with me. Listen, until this time next week, I want you to give thanks for all of your blessings. Stay safe. Remember to always pay it forward. And remember this: the quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. It's been a blast. And as I always say, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then it's you who didn't get the memo. I'm Gloria Bailey Ray. Peace and blessings to all.